I don't really like the way every major government in the world seems to be moving more and more to the political right and tries to suppress its citizens' rights. Even within the EU, we are talking about introducing mandatory chat control, which is just insane. In my opinion, the ability to communicate privately and securely is a necessity for the function of democracy. That's why in today's video I want to take a practical look at how to self-host your own messaging server. I will be walking you through how to set up your own self-hosted end-to-end encrypted communication platform using the Matrix protocol. Matrix is open, secure, and most importantly, it's fully under your control. By hosting your own server, you decide who has access to your data, how it is stored, and how it is protected. Also, I frankly don't see how we could avoid a techno-dystopia other than returning to a federated, decentralized internet. To try and make the process a lot less intimidating, I have also created a GitHub repository with tools and utilities designed to simplify the setup, especially when it comes to things like dynamic DNS, reverse proxies, and other moving parts that usually turn this into a formidable infrastructure project. If you want to follow along the video or reuse the scripts, you'll find everything linked in the description. To get started, all you need is some old computer or laptop and an internet connection. And another quick disclaimer, I myself started using this technology relatively recently. I may be committing some beginner mistakes. If you spot any bad practices, please don't hesitate to let me know. With that out of the way, let's get started with the video. To get started, I will log into my home lab because that is where I run all my services. Then I'm going to the directory where I want to save all the files related to the chat server. In my case, I have a directory for all the Docker services I'm running. Then you can simply copy the link to my GitHub repository and clone it to your computer. After cloning, simply change into the simple Matrix server directory. In there I have prepared a very simple setup script that simply asks you for your domain name and if you want to have any kind of subdomain for Matrix. If you don't have a domain and don't know how to get one, don't worry. There are many sites that offer you a free subdomain, which works perfectly fine for our courses. In this video I'm using DDNS as an example, but you can choose your own provider. In my case I registered the subdomain larksledger.duckdns.org. With these inputs, my Matrix server will be reachable under the address matrix.larksledger.duckdns.org. It's quite a mouthful, but it's still human parsable, so that's very nice. After running the script, it will tell you that there are still two steps that need to be taken manually. First off, you need to configure the dynamic DNS container. The dynamic DNS container has the job of making sure that the website address that we just registered, for example matrix.larksledger.duckdns.org, always points to your home network and to the computer that is actually hosting the server, no matter what your ISP does. For example, I live in a region where my ISP regularly changes my public IP address, and it would be quite a hassle to update it manually. The dynamic DNS container just automates this process so you can set it and forget it. So this step needs to be a bit more manual because there are many dynamic DNS providers, or you may brew up your own solution. But for the beginning I would recommend that you take a look at the documentation of the DDNS updater Docker project on GitHub and see what kind of dynamic DNS providers they support out of the box. If you choose one of these, then your life will be very easy. In my case, I fill out the config.json file according to the token I have on DuckDNS. One last thing we need to set up before we start the service is port forwarding. Basically, if someone wants to visit our server from some external network, let's just call it the internet, they would know with which router to talk thanks to the dynamic DNS we set up. However, the Matrix server will probably not run on your router, so we have to tell our router to redirect the visitors at the Matrix ports to the device on our home network that is actually running the Matrix server. What this means for you is that you have to forward ports 80 in 443 of the TCP protocol to whatever device is running your matrix server. On my Fritzbox, the setup looks something like this. And with that, we can start our Docker service. For now, without detaching from it, just to see if we get any errors or if it is running smoothly. We can also make sure that the matrix server is running right by visiting our server at the local address and port 8008, and hopefully you will be greeted by this page. The next thing to check is that your website is actually reachable from the outside, so go and visit your domain. You should then see this page. If you don't worry. The first setup might take some while. From my test runs, I would say that you need to wait around 5 to 10 minutes before you can start worrying about your setup not working. And the final check is that the public matrix subdomain actually redirects to this matrix greeting screen that we saw earlier. With that out of the way, we can restart the Docker container and detach from it so it runs in the background. And then you need to create the user accounts for the users that you want on your server. For security reasons, only the admin of the matrix server can actually sign up users. I provide a small helper script for creating user accounts. This hopefully makes this process a lot easier. All you need to do is provide the name, password and admin attribute, and then you're set. I recommend you create an administrator account, but that administrator account should not be your regular account. And with that, we are ready to use our own self-hosted matrix server. All we need to do now is log in with one of the many matrix clients. Here I'm gonna use Element. And since this tutorial is more about hosting the matrix server, we will just log in and look at the basic functionality. If you want a deep dive into more of the chatting functionality of Matrix, there are a lot of very good videos on YouTube already. And all we need to do to successfully log in is to change the home server to our own Matrix subdomain. And that is basically all that's to it. I'll also quickly show you that you can use the phone at the same time as the computer, so you can use Matrix on multiple devices at the same time. And for that I'm going to use the Android Element client. Interestingly, on my first try of the login it didn't work and I have no idea why. I just pressed login again and the second time it worked. So that is some interesting behavior. Just wanted to note that, I guess. I never said the solution was perfect. Anyway, after logging in, we are prompted to verify our device, and of course that is a very nice security feature. So just to demonstrate, I will show you this verification procedure. It basically amounts to scanning a QR code with the phone. And with that we are able to use Matrix from both the computer and the phone anywhere where we have an internet connection. So this solution might not work perfectly every time, it might not be the most convenient, but at least I think it is a step in the right direction towards digital autonomy. As for myself, I've been using Matrix now for a few weeks at the point of this recording, and what can I say, it is working flawlessly basically, so no complaints here. In that regard, I hope you can give it a try, and I see you all next time. Bye.